You should be grateful, Vanessa. We've given you everything. That's what my mother said the morning of my wedding, smiling into the mirror as if the reflection beside her wasn't her daughter, but another piece of furniture she owned. Her voice was sweet. Her tone, cutting. But before I tell you how my family turned my wedding into their personal stage, and how I quietly turned the tables, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I tell real stories of betrayal, family control, and finding your voice after being silenced. Because if you've ever been made to feel guilty for setting boundaries, or had someone call control love, then this story, my story, might just sound familiar. So stay until the end, because what started as humiliation became the moment I finally took my life back. The morning sunlight poured through the window of the Magnolia Inn in Charleston, South Carolina. My hair was half done, makeup artist fluttering around me, and my mother, Diane Turner, sat by the vanity sipping her mimosa like it was her throne. My sister, Brittany, was scrolling through her phone, wearing a silk robe 2 shades lighter than mine. She insisted it photographed better, typical Brittany. Everything had to orbit around her, even my wedding day. Mom adjusted her pearls, then glanced at me. You know, Vanessa, you're lucky your father and I are paying for all this. Not every girl gets such a start. It wasn't generosity. It was ownership. A leash wrapped in lace. I smiled the way I'd learned to. Small, polite, restrained. Of course, Mom, I appreciate it. She nodded, satisfied, and turned to the stylist. Make sure her hair hides her shoulders. She's brought up there. We don't need her looking boxy in photos. The stylist froze. I looked down, pretending not to care. I'd spent 29 years being edited by the people who claimed to love me. As Mom walked out to check the catering, Brittany leaned close. She's right, you know. You always were the sturdy one, she grinned. At least your fiancé likes that about you. That was the moment. That quiet flicker of heat in my chest. When I knew I couldn't keep doing this, they thought they were shaping me into their version of perfect. But I was done pretending that their control was love. Because what they didn't know was that I'd stopped being their puppet weeks ago. And before the night was over, everyone would see who was really pulling the strings. The rehearsal dinner was supposed to be simple. A quiet evening, good food, laughter. But in my family, even peace came with conditions. My father, Tom Turner, raised his glass halfway through the evening, clearing his throat the way he always did before lecturing. To Vanessa, he began, our firstborn. The one who always listened, always did what she was told, even when it wasn't easy. Everyone clapped, smiling politely. But the words dug deep, always did what she was told. He didn't mean it as praise. It was a reminder. Beside me, my fiancé, Adam, shifted uncomfortably. He didn't know them like I did. Not really. To him, my family looked polished, supportive, even loving. He didn't see the strings they pulled, the small cuts they left behind every compliment. After dinner, Mom cornered me by the door. Did you remember to update the guest seating chart? We decided to move Brittany to the front table. She'll look better near the photographer. She's not in the wedding party, Mom, I said, forcing a smile. She tilted her head. Don't be petty, sweetheart. You've always had the spotlight. Let her have a little attention. That was the Turner family motto. Sacrifice quietly. Later that night, Adam found me on the balcony, looking out at the Charleston skyline. You okay? He asked. I hesitated. You ever feel like your family's proud of you for the wrong reasons? He smiled softly. All the time. But hey, after tomorrow, they're just your family-in-law. I wanted to believe him. But deep down, I knew people like my parents don't let go. They just find new ways to hold on. The next morning, I overheard Mom and Brittany whispering in the kitchen. Brittany, she won't notice if we switch it. She never does. Mom, just make sure the ribbon matches. Adam's parents will assume it was your gift. They stopped when I walked in, smiling too sweetly. Oh, morning, honey, Mom said, adjusting her robe. I didn't ask what they meant, not yet. But something in my gut turned cold. That's when I decided to stop reacting and start watching. I'd spent my life believing silence kept the peace, but now I understood. Silence was their weapon, and this time, I was going to use it too. Charleston's air was thick with humidity and perfume. The ceremony had ended an hour ago. Soft jazz in the courtyard, guests sipping champagne under strings of light. Everything was perfect. Or at least it looked that way. I remember looking at Adam, his hand warm in mine, his smile still soft from our vows. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, today could stay untouched. But in my family, peace never lasted long. It started when my mother took the microphone. "Before we toast," she said, her voice sweet and sharp, "I'd like to make a small announcement." Adam's parents smiled politely, expecting something sentimental. Mom gestured to the valet. "We wanted to do something special for our girls, and then I saw it, the white ribbon, the sleek silver car rolling up the driveway. A BMW 3 Series, the exact one Adam's parents had surprised me with that morning. A gift they'd said was for the bride." Mom smiled wide. "As many of you know, our younger daughter Brittany has been through a rough patch lately. So, in the spirit of family love and generosity, Vanessa has decided to share her wedding gift, the car, with her sister." The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. Adam's parents froze. And I stood there smiling, because I'd been trained my whole life to perform under humiliation. Brittany ran over, fake tears in her eyes, hugging me tight. "You're the best, Ness." "You really didn't have to?" Mom leaned in close, whispering through her perfect grin. "Family before pride, darling. That's what you always say, isn't it?" Inside, something finally broke, quietly, like a bridge giving way after years of wait. The guests kept cheering, unaware that beneath my lace sleeves, my hands had gone still. Adam's mother reached me first, her smile tight. "Vanessa, dear, did you know about this?" I nodded once, calmly. Of course. But what no one knew, not even Adam, was that 2 weeks earlier, I'd had every gift legally documented and notarized under my name. Every present, every check, every car key, protected. Because after years of being grateful, I'd finally learned to be careful. As Brittany posed beside my car, cameras flashing, I simply stood there and let it happen, because I knew what was coming next. The Turners had made a scene. But this time, it wouldn't end with me being the fool. It would end with them finally being seen for who they really were. By Monday morning, the wedding was all over social media. The laughter, the champagne, the heartwarming moment when I'd gifted my new car to my sister. There was a photo of her kissing the hood, Mom smiling proudly beside her. The caption from one guest read, "A bride with a heart of gold. Truly inspiring." I scrolled through the comments in silence, coffee growing cold beside me. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. "See? Everyone loved it. You made us proud. Us." That word made my stomach turn. By noon, Brittany had changed her Instagram bio. New beginnings. New car, new chapter. I almost laughed. She really thought it was hers. That afternoon, I called Caldwell and Ross Attorneys, the firm that handled my notarization. The receptionist recognized my name instantly. "Ah, Mrs. Turner, I assume this is about the property and gifts declaration." "Yes," I said, voice steady. "Send the confirmation copies to my parents' address. Certified delivery." The next morning, Mom called. "Vanessa, what on earth is this?" She hissed. "A letter from a law firm? Saying all the gifts from the wedding are legally yours? Even the car?" "Yes," I said softly. "It's called ownership, Mom." Brittany's voice piped up in the background. "You can't be serious. Everyone thinks it's mine now. You can't just take it back." I almost smiled. "You can't take back what was never yours." There was a pause, that kind of silence where you can hear someone's pride cracking. Mom finally spoke. "You embarrassed us. You made us look like liars." "I didn't make you look like anything," I said. You did that all on your own. Click. Call ended. Later that day, I received an email from the dealership notifying me that the car, registered in my name, had been retrieved from Brittany's address after legal verification. Adam sat beside me on the couch, reading over the paperwork. "You planned this?" he asked quietly. I nodded. My whole life they've rewritten my story in front of people. I just wanted to own this one, he smiled faintly. You didn't just own it, Vanessa. You rewrote the ending. I looked out the window, the Charleston skyline glowing in the distance. For once, it didn't feel like a cage. It felt like freedom wrapped in silence. And this time, the silence was mine. The fallout didn't come in fire or shouting. It came in whispers. 3 days after the certified letters arrived, the story that had once been heartwarming started to shift online. Someone, probably from Adam's side of the family, leaked the notarized documents. Screenshots spread across Facebook and Instagram. The headline read, "Bride's family tried to steal her wedding gift. Backfires in front of everyone." At first, I didn't believe how fast it spread. People who'd praised my generosity suddenly rewrote their comments. "Wow, that's messed up." Her mom and sister should be ashamed. And my favorite, "Imagine humiliating your own daughter for attention." By the end of the week, Mom stopped answering calls. Brittany deleted her social media altogether. Dad sent a text that said only, "Couldn't you have kept this private?" Private, that was always their way. Hide the ugliness, smile for the cameras. Pretend nothing's wrong. But this time, the truth didn't need my voice to spread. It spoke for itself. Adam's parents invited us to dinner that weekend. His mother squeezed my hand across the table. "You handled that with more grace than most people ever could," she said softly. "You didn't have to yell to be heard." I smiled, the kind that finally felt real. "I learned that from them. They used silence to control me. I'm using it to end them." Later that night, I found an envelope on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note from Brittany. "You ruined me. No one wants to talk to me. I hope it was worth it." I sat there, reading her words, feeling nothing, not anger, not joy, just release. For years, I'd been their emotional punching bag, the steady one, the peacemaker, the daughter who owed them her life. Now they were finally feeling what I'd felt all along, the loneliness that comes from being used and discarded. Except mine had led to freedom. Theirs, to exposure. That night, I stepped outside, the air thick with the scent of magnolias. Charleston was quiet, and for once, so was I, because I didn't need revenge anymore. I already had peace, and that was punishment enough. The months that followed felt like waking up after years of sleep. My phone stopped buzzing with guilt-laced texts. My family stopped calling. And for the first time in my life, the silence didn't suffocate me. It healed me. I went back to my job as a graphic designer, started taking more freelance work, and slowly turned the small spare room in our home into a studio. Every line I drew felt like reclaiming something. Space, identity, control. Adam and I grew stronger too. He didn't ask me to explain. He just understood. Sometimes we'd sit together on the porch, wine glasses in hand, watching the Charleston sky fade to gold. He'd reach for my hand, squeeze it, and say, "You know, I've never seen someone win so quietly." I'd laugh. "That's the Turner family curse," I'd reply. "We were raised to whisper." He'd smile. "Yeah, but you turned it into power." It was strange, how peace didn't look like triumph, but like stillness. No confessions, no apologies, just distance. One afternoon, months later, I received a letter in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting, my mother's. Inside, one line. "You embarrassed us, but maybe we deserved it." No signature. No love, Mom. Just acknowledgement, the kind I'd begged for my whole life. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and let it rest there. Some things didn't need answers. That night, I walked along the harbor, the same city where they'd humiliated me. I thought about all the versions of me that used to live in their shadows. The quiet daughter, the compliant sister, the one who always said thank you even when it cost her everything. She was gone. In her place stood someone who finally understood that love isn't supposed to feel like debt. When I reached the pier, the air smelled of salt and freedom. I closed my eyes and whispered, "I don't owe anyone anymore." And just like that, it felt real. I wasn't the bride who'd been humiliated. I wasn't the daughter who'd been controlled. I was just Vanessa Turner, whole, calm, and free. Because the truth is, sometimes revenge isn't about getting even. It's about walking away so completely that they can never touch your peace again. And in that silence, I finally heard myself.